let's bring out District 5's very famous Pee Wee hockey team. We've got Shaun Weiss, Aaron Schwartz, Marguerite Moreau, Garette Ratliff Henson, and Danny Tamberelli, the original Mighty Ducks. Make some noise. I want to reiterate, this is your panel, so don't be afraid to throw hands up for audience questions. If I miss you at first, don't be afraid to flail. We have a mic that we'll be bringing out to you for audience questions as well. But to kick things off, I've been a Ducks fan my whole entire life. So I've always wondered what the first impressions of the project were to you guys, like the first time you heard about it. And I know it had a different title back then. So any of your first impression stories of the project would be awesome.
I thought we were shooting in India. It was called Bombay. So I was very surprised to go to Minneapolis instead.
I was upset that it was a hockey movie because I didn't like hockey, and I wanted to be in a baseball movie or a football movie. So I was just not thrilled at first that it was about hockey.
Yeah, they didn't have any audition material for the girls, and so I actually read Karp's part over and over for the director.
Better Karp.
I mean, I couldn't get Spazeroid, though. Every time I said something different and went, it's not going to go my way, Mom. And she's like, they don't care.
Yeah, I remember the audition process being sort of chaotic because there were so many roles and there were so many kids and they didn't really know exactly who they wanted for what role. So there was just like this never-ending mix and matching casting process.
Yeah,
it just sort of seemed to go on.
It took me 6 months from the time I auditioned till we got the part. Yeah. So 6 months of audition, that's crazy.
Yeah, none of us knew how to ice skate. Maybe one or two, but we all lied. We all said that we knew how to ice skate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at your fucking arms, dude.
We all got, stop it.
Jesus Christ.
She wore sleeves.
It's Atlantic City. It's the beach. It was actually called Lucky Ducks, wasn't it, at one point? Wasn't it called Lucky Ducks?
That's a good name.
That's a Chinese restaurant.
I saw Lucky Ducks when I auditioned for it the first time, and I was like, this sounds horrible. I was like, what am I getting myself into?
Was it DuckTales spinoff? Lord. Real quick again, so sorry. So any memories from the audition process, other than obviously everyone having to lie about being able to ice skate? Well, I guess you kind of covered it.
Well, I only had one line originally in the movie, so I kept going. I probably auditioned 4 or 5 times, and I was just saying one line. And I kept going in the room just saying this one line, and I would just say it and look out, and I'd be like, all right, thank you, and then I'd leave. And that was just, I did it 5 times. I didn't know what, I wasn't getting any better.
Was the line, it wasn't me? Was that it?
The line was, I'm Goldberg, I'm Atook the goalie.
I'm Goldberg the goalie.
Yeah, but it wasn't,
Atook.
but the name was originally Atook. He was like an Eskimo, so. I'm Atook the goalie for 6 months, and then finally they were like, you got the part. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I remember the one memorable casting story for me was actually with my brother Eldon, who plays Fulton Reed. We were both auditioning for different roles, and I got the role of Guy Germain, and Jordan Kerner, the producer, really wanted to hire my brother as Fulton, and Disney said no. They said he wasn't tough enough. They said they wanted someone from Minnesota who was a little bit taller, darker hair. So Jordan flew him to Minnesota and dyed his hair black and put a little fake scar on his face and screen tested him under a different name and sent the executives at Disney that tape, and they're like, see, I told you, this kid, he's perfect. And Jordan said, great, you can have him, but his name is Eldon Henson and he's an actor, and I just dyed his hair. And so that's how he ended up getting the role.
I mean, you really got to hustle from a young age, I think. But I didn't, yeah. I also took a long time, so when there was the callback, I had like my last day at school, we were moving to a different city, just in the middle of the school year. My dad was lifting a couch like into the back of a moving van and was like, what, I have to put this down and drive where? And I was like, wait, what's happening? You're really gonna do this on the day that we're moving? You're gonna drive me in for the callback of this mighty thing? I don't know what this is, okay. And then a week later, my mom was like, you're not gonna be trying out for that cheerleading team or whatever it is you wanted. You're going to Minneapolis. And I was like, what? And then we had our first day of camp where they just threw us out on the ice and like gave us a coach and we started to learn. And then they gave us the script to read that night. And I remember opening it and be like, oh, Mom, I'm on page 6. And then just kept reading. And Mom, I'm on page 50. We're going to be here for 6 months. I'm at the end. Like, I had no idea when I flew there what my part was, at all.
You didn't know you had a big part in a movie?
Nope. Not at all. Yeah, we had to buy winter clothes, like the whole thing. Yeah. So it was great. I was just like, I even have chills talking about it now.
I didn't know that to this day. That's crazy.
And we were there for a long time. For most films now that... Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me without the mic? Should I just...
It's better with the mic.
It's been recorded. We were there for a lot longer than most films take, unless it's like a huge action film. We were there for...
like November to April.
And that like breeds, like when we left, we were all bawling. Right? Weren't we all crying? It was like a family, and still a family because of that. So yeah, it was fun.
My God, that's outstanding.
Harry Potter theme is going on right now. Fantastic.
Nice.
Like my son is here. This is fantastic.
Just when you thought you were out. So I'm a big Stephen Herrick fan. Oh, did we leave anyone out on Audition Stories?
Well, Audition Story. I was 9 years old. It's a little hazy. It's a little hazy. What I do remember is that I was doing an off-Broadway play with Nathan Lane and George C. Scott called On Borrowed Time. And it was like a week before we were supposed to start, and I was a little sponge kid who learned everybody's lines because we were, doing a play and we'd do the whole thing, so I knew everybody's lines. And there was a scene where George C. Scott was holding me, and he forgot his lines, and so I whispered it in his ear, and that really pissed him off. Really pissed him off. His big bulbous nose got red and like veins started popping out of his nose, and he squeezed me and then let me go, and I dropped to the stage floor, and he said, "You never tell another actor his lines." He's dead now, so I won. That's what I'm saying here. But that happened, and I immediately he had my ass fired the next day. He was like, "This kid's done." So a week before they start, they had to use my understudy, and that's who actually did the whole run at the Circle in the Round Theater. They lied and said that I couldn't project, but y'all can tell I can do that just fine. But then the next week, I got that call that I booked Mighty Ducks, and I was like, oh, cool. I wouldn't have been able to do it because I would have been shooting, or I would have been doing that play. So, so everything worked out. So as much as I want to, continue to pee on George C. Scott's grave, I'm also thankful for him to be here with you guys.
As far as runs in the mid-'90s go, you got to be in Mighty Ducks and Pete, and he was in Angus. So you win on multiple fronts. And I love Angus, but come on, it's no Ducks.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. That's very true.
It's a great film, but it's no Ducks. So I've always been a big Stephen Herrick fan, and I find it fascinating that he came out of the gate with like 3 of the movies that absolutely shaped my life. Were you guys fans of his prior to doing the Ducks, and did you have like a favorite movie of his going into it, or is that something you watched them after you got the movie, or were you aware of like Bill and Ted and Don't Tell
I was
Mom?
aware of Bill and Ted for sure, and I remember talking to him about that. I was like, I can't believe that you did that. I was like, yeah, I did. I'm a director, and you're 9 years old. You shouldn't be watching that.
I think I was so nervous and so excited to meet someone who had directed something so big that I couldn't even think of a question to ask him. It was like, can we rewind time, and can I be in it now? Like, you watch those movies so many times, they become, Socrates forever.
Oh,
yeah.
So exactly, right? It's not Socrates, it's Socrates.
Yeah, I didn't know anything he'd done when we did the Mighty Ducks, and I didn't think in that way when I was that young. I was 11 when we did that movie, and as the years went on, I learned about his filmography and was very impressed. But at that time, I was very much just a kid and more interested in everything that was happening in front of me, like reading the script, imagining what it was going to be like, but I didn't know anybody's resume. And kind of even the same with Emilio to a certain extent. Like, he was very very much just like the guy that was playing the coach. And right from day one, he made it that way for us. He was very like, he didn't keep any distance from us. He was just right in there. I think the first day we got there, he took us go-kart racing and really like wanted us to be like friends with him. So it was very personal and relaxed, you know, with
I remember the time he took us to the movie theater. He like rented out a theater and took us to the movies. That was dope.
So Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Dope.
When Wayne's World first Wayne's World came out.
Tia Carrere, yeah, totally.
So I just found out right now that Stephen Herrick directed Bill and Ted's. I didn't know that until right now. Swear to God.
Same.
That's awesome. You too?
Yeah. Just now it's like,
Wow, that's amazing.
talk to him right now.
Stephen Herrick, though, was such a beautiful guy, and he was really good with all of us, you know, and he was just a warm guy to work with, and I think he really got the best out of all of us. And he made a movie called Mr. Holland's Opus, and that's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So.
Also, I don't think I knew what a director did. It was my first movie, so I was like, I know what actors do. I've been watching those for a while, but otherwise it was the whole crew was so big, and like you said, the crying at the end, and I had this like Ducks pennant that I like took out of the stands and had everybody sign, and didn't know that if you sign it with marker and felt, after a few years it'll just fade away, and like I was like, I'll see you soon, and they're like, we probably won't ever see each other again or work with each other again. So I think it's really lucky that we have been able to stay in touch and get to check in regularly over the years.
Absolutely. Well, that's one of the main reasons I come out to these things, is to hang out with you guys. So I love that we do this.
And the fans.
For sure, yeah. Definitely.
What's
Smart assets, my brother.
So we have a pretty packed house, and I don't want to hog the mic too much. I want to make sure the audience has a chance for questions if anyone's warmed up yet. And it always takes a while. Okay, we got one up in the front row here, or two.
A couple. Here.
Couple. Look at this. This never happens.
This is for Aaron and Shaun. I love ducks, don't get me wrong, but I was just wondering if you could tell a heavyweight story and what it was like working with Ben and your time on that film, because I love that movie just as much as ducks.
Talk about it too. I was screen tested for it. But they said
excellent.
They said I wasn't fat enough.
You got sick right before, and
I did.
All the weight.
I didn't get very sick and lost all the weight.
Is that what happened?
Wow, that's what you think of me, Aaron? That's messed up. No, I don't know. I'm just joking. I don't remember being sick. I do remember them flying me out to screen test and seeing all of these dudes and seeing, being like, oh, cool. This is going to be fun. Oh, I didn't get it. But that's okay. I'm just trying to bring it all back to the ducks. That's why it's important to be here.
I remember poor Aaron broke his arm because he slipped on a Twinkie in a food fight. Sorry, dude, that happened to you.
It was a chicken nugget.
Oh, a chicken
or
nugget.
a chicken wing. A bucket of chicken wings. Somebody must have dropped it, and I slipped on like the whole bucket of chicken wings.
Poor guy. And you had to film like the rest of the movie with like your arm in a cast.
Yeah.
Man.
They had like a removable cast, but I still have it. It's all signed, so it's pretty cool.
Ben Stiller was such an intense guy, and I never really had a problem laughing during a take ever. But Ben Stiller was like, when he was doing his thing, it was hard to not crack up.
Yeah.
When he was in his
he was Tony Perkis the whole time, basically. Like he would lift weights on the side. He would like eat little salads in between takes.
And they'd be like, action.
He tried to talk to him. I mean, he was very nice, but then he would be like in the zone. And he really took it. Yeah, he took it.
He was scary.
It was a little scary. Yeah.
I think we had another question up front here.
So out of all the scenes you had to film, was there any scene in particular that was either you were very excited to film or very nervous to film?
The kiss at the end of the first movie. I was so excited. First movie, gonna get a kiss. It's gonna be so romantic. We're gonna move. They're gonna set it up. We're gonna have time to do it. Everything. No, they like caught it in a wide, and I almost fell over. It was so cute now that I see as an adult. But I thought we were gonna have this moment, and it was gonna be like a real adult, like first kiss. And I was so mortified when I saw it on the playback. I was like, that's not how I pictured it.
It's an incredibly
I can't even
awkward
stop. I
kiss.
knocked him over. I was so big. But now it's wonderful. I really appreciate that I didn't know anything.
Were you nervous when you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And you're right. It was like we had tons of extras that day, right? We were like in the stands.
Yeah, it was like the big cheering, we all won
Yeah.
the thing day.
Yeah, I think we only did it once. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just finding out right now that they kissed. You guys kissed?
You got to watch the movie, Goldberg.
In Ducks 1, right? Yeah. I always get to like halfway through.
There's other people in the movie.
Oh my God. And for anyone else who had a scene that was difficult or they were nervous about or excited about?
How about the whole like beginning scene? I was always bummed because I auditioned for the Karp scene, the great scene at the beginning where the kids make so much trouble with the money in the purse and they do the whole con. It looked
to do that.
like so much fun, like that's something I wouldn't definitely be brave enough to do, but want to do in a movie for sure. And you guys got to do that.
I'm more nervous now as an actor than I was as a little kid. When I was doing those scenes, I was just like in heaven, like being able to be in a movie. I think every scene was just fun for me. Yeah.
Are you like that? Like that mischievous as that character?
No.
So you got away with a lot of stuff.
I got away with a lot of stuff.
Okay, it's an outlet,
Yeah.
I see.
I might have put poop in a couple bags after that, though. Gave me some
Who could
ideas.
blame you?
I literally tried to do that. I tried to do the dollar in the purse trick, but I lived in like the suburbs, so like we'd put a purse on the side of the road and I'd watch it from a window. I'd be like, all right, any hour now, there's gonna be a car driving by and they might stop. They might. You never know. Yeah. Life was. Yeah. I really did that. I took an old purse of my mom's. So I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I don't think she wants this. She had like a cupboard full of old purses. There's probably something really nice. What the hell do I know? Yeah.
True fan right there.
Yeah, I fed my dog Taco Bell just to make it, you know. I was like, I don't have chili. I don't have. You guys do chili in the movie. It's
Chili's better for your dog.
well, you know, Taco Bell almost does.
What?
You know, sort of. It's something like that, right?
One of my good friends from college thought it would be funny to do that. He called it poo dollar. But he didn't use dog poo, he used his own poo. It's not okay.
Wow.
It's not okay. And there was no purse. They just put it face down in front of the dorm and someone would pick
Any
it
more
up
questions?
and then you would hear him yell in the background, "That was a poo decision." I don't think he graduated is what I'm saying.
Oh my God, it's absolutely incredible. So we have some more questions out there. Cool.
Hi, guys. So we're talking about pranks and you guys being kids, having some time to yourselves, getting in a little bit of trouble. Any good stories there? Any good pranks?
We used
Any good prank stories?
to play football on the ice until someone fell and someone ran over someone else's fingers.
I ran over J.D. Daniels'
Ew.
finger.
I don't know if they call that a prank. It was a fun
That
thing
was
gone
not
wrong.
fun.
Didn't you get... You fell asleep once in
there's
the locker room during filming, right?
Yeah, there's a funny Polaroid somewhere of we have long days, and you know the reality of shooting is you go on set and you work for 20 minutes, and then you have an hour of downtime where they're relighting for the next scene. So at one point I fell asleep in the locker room, and Emilio put shaving cream on my face.
Oh, amazing.
And there's a pretty funny Polaroid of him like crouched down by my face, like giving a thumbs up, and I'm sound asleep with shaving cream on my head. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of goofing around. I mean, they very much let us be kids on that set, and they sort of worked around us. So we were constantly just this like ball of chaotic kid energy, and they would just try to corral us as best they could.
Made us stay dressed the whole time too, which really slowed us down. So we were in full uniform for these 12 hours, like waddling around. So we'd just get bored and silly at some point and just knock into each other. And
I heard Brandon was like a prankster. on the second and third one.
right.
I wasn't
I heard
in
that
it,
too.
but
Yeah.
nor was Danny. But no, we're fine.
Tell me about it.
I'm trying to think of. I don't think I can recall a Brandon prank story that's suitable to share with this audience. Unfortunately, but they're all very funny. Trust me.
Can't open a can of worms like that and not deliver. Come on.
It's like share with the
What a tease. What a tease. Give us one. Yeah.
Time has gone by. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've done panels with Brandon. He's not bashful.
All right. I've got one. It was it was at the end of Mighty Ducks 2, and we were doing ADR. And so, for people who don't know what ADR is, you go into the soundstage and you're recording any audio that was imperfect during shooting. So they bring in the film reels and they put it up on a projector so you can see visually what you're trying to match. And as we were leaving, they had like these rolls of the film of the movie on 35 millimeter prints. And he walked by and goes, "Hey, Garrett," and he grabbed 3 of the rolls and he threw them in the trash and goes, "Reshoots."
Yes,
That's Brandon.
very family friendly. Very good one. So I think there were some more questions out there, I believe. Am I blinded by the stage lights? Well, it's okay. I have plenty here.
Bueller.
Well, one thing I've always admired about the film is the villainous performance by the great Lane Smith, who's sadly no longer with us. And I know you guys probably didn't have a lot of scenes with him, but
Winning if you can't win big.
right, there's so many lines and so many moments that he drives that movie. So any Lane Smith stories or just in general would be awesome.
You smelled good.
You remember that?
Good. I remember that too. Yeah.
That's amazing. I just remember watching him perform one day because since I'm a more enthusiastic member of a lot of cheering. Connie does a lot of cheering, but so I would say like where the camera was and like plop myself down and sort of just watch the whole scene. And then when he opened his mouth, I just sat back like I was already watching the movie, like, oh, that's power. Like you could feel it was going to just move everything, like you said. It was very exciting. Yeah.
Very cool. Any other Lane stories, guys?
So Lane is in the Mighty Ducks?
Andy passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay, well, moving on from Lane. Obviously, we're a little bit sad that Josh Jackson couldn't be here with us today. Did you guys go on to become Dawson's Creek fans when that became such a sensation after the Ducks? Were you like cheering him on, or were you like, man,
Yes,
fuck that show?
I was definitely Dawson's Creek fan.
Oh, very
I was
cool.
indeed. I was in my freshman year of college in New York when he did that show. And so after the first season, it was hugely successful, and they asked him to host Saturday Night Live. So me and Colombe went as his 2 guests, and the Backstreet Boys was the musical guest. And we watched him do his thing, and we went out and partied until like 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was this really like epic experience of him kind of like entering into this new adult threshold of success. And he's continued on that path ever since. But it was a really fun night.
Yeah. Cool.
I was very excited by the J. Crew catalog that accompanied it because I was in college and not watching a lot of television, but somebody in one of the townhouses had it, and I was like, give me that! Josh, what the heck?
It was like a J. Crew sponsored show. Yeah, it was all over that show.
This is legit. Okay.
Very cool. Any other Josh stories in general from shooting, or?
I remember the scene where he's in Mickey's diner crying. We were all there. They made sure that was his last scene. Like I said, we were all very emotional at the end. They made sure that they used that scene to be his last scene, and he literally couldn't stop crying. They had to take another take. He was legitimately like, when you see that, he's crying because the movie's over.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
That was always, I remember seeing him run out and cry, and I was like, what's going on? They're like, oh, he's wrapped after that.
Oh, I always wondered about that. I'm like,
sad.
Acting his ass off in that scene. Like, man.
I mean, he's using it, but we were all pretty sad when it ended. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very sad note.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I want to
he went on to be Josh Jackson.
Yeah, try and lighten
again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When you're done making the movie, go on a press tour, like you travel around to different cities and show the movie and stuff. And for one of the movies, I can't remember which one, I got to go on a press tour where it was just Josh and I going around to different cities. And that was like by far the best trip I've ever had in my entire life. So it's like probably one of my fondest memories is that trip, going around, just staying at really nice hotels, and like I used the bidet for the first time. That was nice. So that's how fancy the hotel was. It had a bidet in it.
In the 90s even.
Right, yeah. So yeah, when you hang out with Josh Jackson, your arsehole is cleaned with hot and warm water.
Oh my God, I absolutely love it. Jesus. So I feel like this is one of those movies, and correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes you see a studio movie and you feel like, oh, they knew they had a hit on their hands with this movie. Did you guys, I know you're very young, but did you have any impression of that, or with the release or the promotion of the film, or just any like opening weekend stories in general?
I realized it was a big thing when we had to do something promotional at a New York Rangers game, and we got to skate on the ice during intermission, and we got to play against the ice hockey team from Harlem.
We got to shoot against the goalie.
Shoot against the goalie, yeah. Yeah, and there was like Alexei Kovalov like on the bench, and he was just like, this is crazy. My best friend who lived like 4 houses down was my guest, and he was like, we all live in Jersey. He was like,
he was a Devils fan.
That's true. I can't help myself. Yeah, we were in Jersey, but yeah, all that aside, just knowing that we were doing something like that at a major sports event was mind-blowing to me as a 10-year-old kid. Like,
I was at the premiere in New York, and I guess I was 13, and Elizabeth Shue gave me a kiss, and it sent me into shock for like 3 or 4 months. I couldn't concentrate, you know what I mean? So that was my memory of that movie premiere, and somebody took a picture of it, so there's a photo of it, like, what? Lip on lip, like, and she was just the sweetest, most delightful thing. To this day, it was my best kiss. Yeah. Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue's out there saying, hey, it's the best kiss ever.
She's out there going, please stop telling that story.
Yeah, I was in quite a few movies as a kid, and so when we made this one, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't, because you never know, right? It may seem like it's going to be big, and then it comes out and nobody goes to see it. And I feel like even when the movie came out, I didn't really understand the success. At that time there wasn't like Box Office Mojo. Like, people weren't really talking about like box office numbers, at least not to an 11-year-old. But for me, it was with the second one, when they ended up naming the NHL team after the films, that really, like, you can try to cover your eyes as much as you want, but like at that point you have to understand that it's like a phenomenon. And that is really when it dawned on me.
And were you living in LA at that time? Because I was living in Orange County, where the Ducks team was based. And so it was on the cover of that local newspaper. And my mom was like screaming, and I came down the stairs like, what is it? And she just showed me, and it was like art meeting life, meeting art, like just couldn't, I was like, what? Yeah. That's as articulate as I can be about that.
Oh no. Yeah, Aaron's got a mic, right. I was saying I wasn't even in the movie, and that's still something that I feel like flabbergasted about. I'm like, between when was it the first movie, the second? When did they do? How did this is amazing. Like, so I'm about as articulate as you are. So one thing I've always wondered, and I know this is probably something that's happened to you guys, I'm sure many, many times in life, you're sitting there doing something and all of a sudden someone starts to quack at you. So are there any stories of being quacked at that are rather funny and lighthearted you could share with us?
Anytime I want to use the F word and my phone changes it to ducks, I find it to be kind of funny.
That's hysterical.
There's always a little hidden like giggle
irony,
I have when I hit send and I see it and I'm like,
yeah. I'm mad at Matt and I'm like, duck you.
I used to, my apartment before I moved to A1, the steak sauce was D2, and I used to burn my ass every time. I'd walk in the door, I was like, D2, I wasn't in it, but I'm in it now.
Any other quacking stories or?
Oh, that was about quacking?
Well, that was.
Well, yeah.
Tried it. Yeah, it's like what the funniest time someone's just quacked at you in public. Like I'm at a funeral and then someone's just quacking at me, or I'm at church, I'm at wherever. I'm sure it's happened at
Fans are respectful.
Really?
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
To me, it's always such a friendly, like,
What's up? A really nice call across the room.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like in all my quacking experiences are me quacking at somebody.
You just get Goldberg.
Yeah. Right, that's what happens. Like somebody will say something, I'll be like quack, 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 just to like quack at them. Because I can, right? We can quack it. We're like, not a lot of human beings can quack at people with some context. We can do that. That's right.
Well, I do want to give the audience one more chance. I see we have someone in the front row. He's going to need to borrow your mic again, Shaun. Sorry.
All right, so the movie had great soundtrack, all three of them combined, really. And to embarrass myself a brief bit, I would have a Walkman on me while I'm on my bike listening to the soundtrack. It's like my own like personal soundtrack. Is there any movie that had like a great soundtrack that you may have not done that, but like would be a great soundtrack that you would always want to hear in your ears when you're riding? As a kid, when you were growing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Definitely like Last Mohicans and The Piano were mine that I listened to like all through college.
The Mallrats soundtrack really did it for me. Because there's so many bands that I got into, like who knows who Archers of Loaf are? I do. And so did whoever curated that, the B-side Weezer song Suzanne at the end. What a hell of a song! Weird that it never made it on that record. And it was like, oh, this song's not good enough. We'll give it to Mallrats. Fine stuff.
Anybody else?
My favorite soundtrack probably of all time is the movie Swingers.
Yeah.
It was a good
Great
soundtrack
one.
at the time. But I rocked out to the soundtrack for D3 for a while. There were a lot of good soundtrack songs on there. Mr. Big Stuff, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Accentuate the Positive, Goldberg's Wild Ride. There was a Jack Redford thing. So and a few other songs. So clearly I'm not lying when I say I listened to that sound.
14 when that movie came out. Drove to the movie theater listening to that.
My man.
Very cool. Well,
This is the guy, guys, who we've been getting those residuals coming in all those years. It's this guy.
Your namesake right there.
His name is also Shaun.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, Shaun. We met before. Hey, how you doing?
well, I know we're getting a little short on time, and I do want to get you guys back to your tables in time. But one thing I have to ask, obviously we were all very excited to see the Ducks come back and Game Changers and see some familiar faces again. Is there anything that you hope for as just a fan for the future of the Ducks franchise? Something you want to see in season 2 of Game Changers, or do you want to see a D4, or is that the kind of thing that you guys ever think about?
I guess the first thing I would say is I think they did a really good job with that reboot. I think that the show is really funny and the kids are really good. It's unfortunate that Emilio won't be on the second season, but regardless, I think they've got something really good going there. So I think that show should continue, and I think it would just be great if someday they could get Josh to come in and be the coach.
That would be genius.
Oh, I think everybody should come back in. I feel like there's room in that show for the whole community of all of us and the kids, the way they've done it, so that there's really a back and forth in terms of like how you pass things on. I sort of got like a taste of that. Like they still kept these great moments, like when Emilio first enters, the horns come up that are the horns from the first Mighty Ducks, and you get like this really beautiful connective tissue between the two, that they've kept the silliness but also the heart. And I think that's what people liked about it or responded to it. So I feel there's potential, and I'm sure with, Ducks on Summer, It's like the Ducks go do a summer clinic in LA with another coach that, they're not all down and out yet.
Take my money.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
We know when the Ducks go to LA, fun things happen.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. Anyone else? Anyone else hopes for the future of the franchise, or?
I just hope the franchise is strong and continues long enough for me to get my criminal record expunged, so maybe then I can come back. So keep watching, folks. Keep it alive.
Yeah.
Oh man, I cannot.
Heavyweights 2.
Heavyweights 2. Oh man, guys.
Heavier.
Heavier. Well, be sure to come by their tables, get some pictures, get some autographs. I know they have a lot more stories to tell you. And put your hands together and make some noise for the Mighty Ducks, guys.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.